Okay, I don't know if this is like a rant video or just something that I've thought a lot about in my day, but I want to cover a lot. I'm going to talk to you about how I'm actually using the iPad mini. I feel like this is the best sized iPad, and I know a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people are like, no, I got to go Pro. I do everything on my Pro. I just feel like first and foremost, iPad is not needed. For the majority of people. I think for anyone who is like me, who has an iPhone and an Apple device, like a Mac. If you're not an artist, if you're not someone who's drawing things, I just don't understand iPad. It's an amazing product. It does amazing things. But every time I personally get an iPad, I use it for a little while out of excitement and wanting to like take notes by hand and digitize them and, you know, buy a little portable keyboard like this here from ProtoArch and use this as my main email setup for a while, or my coffee shop setup. And then after a few months, it goes in a drawer. And that's just, I don't know, that's just kind of what iPad is to me. Like I said, I'm not an artist, so I know a lot of artists who use iPads, or architects, or people who are like out in the field doing work where you need to take a picture and mark it up and send it off to your boss or whatever like that. Like there's definitely markets for this and niches for this. But like, I think outside of that, some people will use it as like at night I put my phone away and I just scroll social media on here, or I look at pictures of the family on here. Maybe an older person with a big iPad can look at blown up pictures of their family, and it's really nice and intuitive. But I think for me, like being a creative, not doing a ton of like hand-drawn work, this doesn't really have a place. I'll tell you right now, the way I've been using it personally is as a recording device for meetings. I'm so used to, like, we work with some, like here's one from Voci. I'm so used to these like interesting little recording devices now. This is a ring that records conversations. You push a little button, it records meetings or your thoughts or whatever. We do so many devices like this. We like try them out and we review them and whatnot. And the thing with all of those is they're usually like, they have their own proprietary software, right? So if I want to record a meeting and I want to have that be a part of my workflow, I got to use Voci's app all the time. My iPad can record in the Memos app and it will transcribe it for me. And then I can ship that over to like Claude and have it in a place that I actually do a ton of work in, which is Claude. So I've literally just, this sits on my desk under my Apple Studio display, and I just record Zoom calls and stuff on it. And that is like, okay, there's that. I forgot about this. I don't know why. And then I use it as like teleprompter-ish as a notes place for these videos. So I don't know why I've been filming in this part of the studio more lately, but I usually film in the front and I keep it like under the camera, like right here. And it has my like bulleted notes for my scripts, for my videos. I'll take my script, I'll have it on my Mac, I'll shoot it over here, open it, and then just have my bullet points there. And that's it. Those are the only two ways I've been using this. Like I don't even come in here and like watch YouTube videos. Like look, I literally just unlocked it and that's the last thing that was on here because I use the SSA for that. I don't do Spotify. It's really weird. It's almost like if you just have more money than you need, you would buy something like this. And I think being like a tech forward product reviewer, like I feel like I need to have some of this tech to be able to talk about it like I am right now. And like this is such a nice device. Like the screen's incredible to be so small. The bezels are, that's a whole nother topic for another day. The bezels are fine. It's a powerhouse of a computer with an amazing Apple Pencil Pro input here, and like it's great. Like the speakers are great. Like it's such an incredible device, like premium, but I don't use it. And I think that's something I run into a lot here, like products that are amazing that one, either they're just not meant for me, like I'm not the target audience, or two, they're not solving a real problem in the market. So a really well-made, well-backed device product that is just premium and does everything perfectly, but like you stop using it. You put it in a drawer. Like there's more form than function, maybe, right? So anyway, that's how I'm using this. And it's funny because it's such an amazing device that even now as I'm sitting here holding it, like I am drawn to want to use this more. Like I'm not Like this is happening to me right now as I'm making this video. Like I'm looking at this, it just looks incredible. It's so, I mean, it doesn't have 120 Hertz, I don't think, you know, so it's not, it's fast enough, it's fluid enough. They're probably gonna make an OLED version of this with 120 Hertz refresh display at some point in the coming year or years. So it's only gonna get better. Touch fingerprint, they're probably gonna add, you know, Face ID onto this at some point. To be able to pair it with something like this, like I said, a little, you know, keyboard, like there's just so much functionality and it's so inviting and it's so Apple, and that is Apple. And I'm drawn to use it. Like I'm like, could I type up some notes later? Like I don't have any notes to type up, but like I kind of want to, you know? And I think that is what iPad is and has been for me. And I made videos in the past of like using the iPad Pro and having it, you know, trying to make it replace my MacBook. And it's very close. I think the experience of using it as a MacBook is too far. They're too far removed. I think capability wise, it's very close, but the experience of using it is still very separate in a way. And so I can't use it in a comfortable, experiential way that I use my laptop, my MacBook Pro, or my MacBook Air, excuse me. So yeah, I'm not using this very much. You know, there's things on here too, like I can control like the studio lights on here. It's a shame because again, it's such a nice device and I wish I used it more. I just don't have a need for it. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I feel like iPad has been such an interesting thing for so long, and like how Apple has tried to keep it separate from MacBook, right? Like we don't have Mac OS on iPad, probably for business reasons. Like if you were able to do that, people wouldn't buy MacBooks anymore. They just buy iPads or vice versa or whatever. And so it's interesting to see like maybe why Apple has held back in some ways. It's also interesting to see like there's innate value in a tablet that's touch, you know, has touch, and a MacBook that doesn't, right? That just has a screen and keyboard and you can't touch it. So there's different ways you experience and input things to these devices. And iPad's just been so weird. I think from the start when they announced, I think that was the iPad Pro, the first iPad Pro. I had my first job and I was like, I need that. I need the keyboard, I need the pencil. I loved that thing and I like did a bunch of work on it. But then again, after a while, I just went back to my MacBook, and I don't know why that happens, but I think it's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not the person who needs to be able to have an Apple Pencil. If my Apple Pencil were to break tomorrow, I wouldn't go buy a new one. Whereas an artist would be like, crap, I gotta go get a new one, right? Those people who actually need this for the amazing features it has. And I know like there's pilots, for instance, who love the iPad mini because it's small and they can do all their stuff on here. My friend Maggie, who's a flight attendant, actually bought one and was like, I gotta have some sort of iPad to do flight attendant work. I don't know what she does on there, but you know, she needed something like this. There are niche use cases and probably a ton of them, right? That's why these exist and why they still make new ones and they sell a bunch of them. But it's always just been a weird spot for me, especially since I guess I felt like being a creative, it's something that I would need and something that would like help my productivity and my workflow, and it just doesn't. And I think because I still love them for some reason, I'll continue to like get the newer ones and try out the new features, especially for you all, of course. But it's just funny, like this always just happens. I just go back to my phone for mobile and my computer to do my work, and I don't know that I need it in between. Especially this does so much and they're so big. Like this is just a regular Pro size, and it's, you know, I'm happy to watch YouTube videos and listen to music on here. The speakers are great, the cameras are better. If I need to mark something up, I can do it with my thumb or, you know, my pointer finger. So I don't know, I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Maybe you all have like figured this out better than I have. It's just been like a feeling about iPad I've had for years and years that you know, it's just a really interesting device in space, and I think tablets in general. But maybe you use them, you know, this is probably a controversial video too. Maybe you use them a lot, I'm not sure. But yeah, I just had been like wanting to make a video about iPad mini specifically, and then the iPads in general. Any new features you're excited for? I'm not like up to date on like iPad news. I know my buddy Mark Gilroy is like always making iPad stuff, and you guys love, maybe not you guys, but his followers love iPad stuff. So he's probably the better person to follow. In fact, go follow him if you want to learn all things iPad. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts. What do you think about iPads? What do you think about the iPad mini? Again, iPad mini is still my favorite of all the iPads. I've tried Air, I've tried the regular iPad, I've tried the mini, I've tried the Pro. So I guess I've tried them all and it's still my favorite. So let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. On this channel, we talk about products that marry form and function. We like products that improve our lives and look good while doing so. So if that sounds cool to you, please consider subscribing. Like this video for more, hype it up if you would. Watch that video next. I think you'll love it. I love it too. We'll see you all in the next one.